Hey everyone, welcome to another video of DC NBA Junkie, where I will be discussing NBA related content every single day. If you are new to this channel, then I would suggest you click on the video card above. It's a link to the first video, so you can get kind of a context and can start fresh from the first video of this series. I am continuing a series called NBA Team Futures, where each day I'll be deep diving into a different NBA team and talking about my stance on each team moving forward from the NBA hiatus. If that seems interesting to you, then feel free to tune in on some nice NBA content. For today's episode, I'll be taking a closer look with the Utah Jazz. The Jazz are a team who can seriously get it done at both ends of the basketball court. With the stellar perimeter shooting combined with the lockdown defense led by Rudy Gobert, this Utah Jazz team can really get it done. With that being said, there's been large amounts of drama on this team surrounding COVID-19 and could potentially disrupt their future. If this intrigues you, then let's get right into it. But before I begin, make sure to leave a like on the video and drop down in the comments section any suggestions for future video ideas or even ideas for future series, because any suggestions from you guys are highly advised and recommended. And lastly, make sure to subscribe. I mean, we're all here for some fresh and nice NBA content. Now, without further ado, let's take a look into the future of the Utah Jazz. So when we look at this Utah Jazz team, I want to start off by looking at the team overview for them. So they played 64 games this season before the season was temporarily suspended, and that got them a 41-23 record, which was good enough for the 4th seed in the Western Conference. When I think about the Utah Jazz, I think of them as being a really good team in the half court, in the pick and roll, and in the full court, being able to move the ball out fast and really looking for shooters out on the break. What's special about this team is they're not really centered around one system. They can play a multitude of systems under Quinn Snyder, which is really special. And it's just really fascinating to me how well they can play in a multitude of systems. When they need to be just a defensive-based team for a game, they can do that because they're a really solid defensive team. However, one thing I see them really lacking, which isn't the biggest issue, but playmaking, especially from the guard spots, because Donovan Mitchell is more of a shooting guard, and Mike Conley is not necessarily a playmaker. He can be, but he just kind of had a rough start this season with his injury. So I think that they are lacking a little bit of playmaking, and then I'm feeling that they're also lacking a little bit of athleticism. Their team is not very athletic. You've got guys like Rudy Gobert, who's not the most athletic big man. Bojan Bogdanovic is more of a shooter and can create his own shot. And then you got like Joe Ingles. When you think about those kind of guys, you can kind of see where I'm going with this. This team is not very athletic. However, they do have the likes of Donovan Mitchell, who is very athletic. So it's almost like this idea of how effective they can be on the break, and how effective they can be in contesting some shots. There's a lack of athleticism. Athleticism is not the greatest thing for a team. And just one stat that was a little interesting to me was that they're last this year in steals, which kind of correlates to their lack in athleticism. The next topic I want to go over with the Utah Jazz in terms of their future is offensive consistency. And it might seem a little interesting why I'm bringing this up, because of how well-rounded they are. But their defense is very solid, no doubt. Rudy Gobert kind of makes up for a lot of defensive deficiencies in the team. Like Mike Conley and Donovan Mitchell are two short. It's a short backcourt, not very effective defensively. However, with Rudy Gobert holding it down in the paint, they just need to be effective on the perimeter, which they are. They can do at least that. So when I think about this team, I think about offensive consistency. And when I think about this, I mean, in order for them to be a legit team, they are only the 4th seed, which is really good. But if they want to take the next step with this team, they need to learn how to perform consistently against good teams, which is like the Lakers, the Bucks, the Raptors, even the Celtics, or the Clippers, all those good teams, you have to be able to perform offensively consistently against those teams. I kind of brought this up with the Nuggets in the last video, saying how you need to have guys who you can just count on for buckets. With this team, you know Mitchell will get you a bucket, but sometimes it's a little, you just don't exactly know where your baskets might come from, whether it's Bogdanovich, or whether it's Mike Conley, Joe Ingles, or even, off the bench you got Jordan Clarkson, who is a very good scorer. In terms of what I think of this team, they can shoot the three ball very well, no doubt. They're one of the best teams in three-point percentage in the league. But when I saw points per game and they're middle in the pack, I can tell that they're not the best. They're just kind of like sitting in the middle. And so what I want to see for this team moving forward is, can they improve more consistently on the offensive end, as they are good defensively and they could get better there, but more importantly, just offensively, if they want to stick in with the good teams. All right, the next topic is something I have to acknowledge here, is Mitchell and Gobert. As you know, the league would go into this hiatus because of specifically Rudy Gobert getting testing positive for COVID-19. And then later we find out that Mitchell also tested positive. Many players in the league have already tested positive and recovered. I believe these two have already recovered, but I'm really talking about this because of the relationship issues that have been created from this. Mitchell and Gobert, at first there was a report saying that their relationship was unsalvageable, and it was looking like some roster moves were going to have to be made. But now it's said that Mitchell is still disappointed. From my stance, I can see that there's obviously some tensions between the two, obviously, because Mitchell did not agree with how Rudy Gobert acted in the situation and acted with the whole situation. And obviously Rudy Gobert came out later and talked about how he was disappointed in his actions and he didn't really think of it to be much. But when I think about this team in the future, these two are really important players. They're real talented players. I don't think they should trade either of them. Donovan Mitchell is an amazing player. Came out of his rookie season just so impressive. His sophomore season and his junior season have just topped it. He's been a very offensively consistent player. He's been that guy for them who can give them buckets every single night. Not the best defender. I'm not too sure how he is on the perimeter. I just know that their interior defense with Rudy Gobert kind of leading it there is really important for them. So I know that Gobert and some of the other guys on the team can really catch up and make up for Mitchell's deficiency on defense. And I'm also thinking, for the future, of course, if this relationship isn't salvageable, then roster moves are going to have to be made. I would personally think you need to move Gobert because Mitchell is clearly the cornerstone piece for this franchise moving forward. He's younger and he's shown much more promise. Gobert is a great player, not going to lie. He's 27 though, 4 years older than Mitchell. So I just think moving forward that if this relationship can't be fixed, then some moves need to be made. And the best case scenario, obviously, is they return on good terms and hopefully they can get back into a good flow. And next, I do this segment with every team, the free agency view. For this team, the expiring contracts that are notable are Jordan Clarkson and Emmanuel Mudiay. I'm not going to spend too much time here. Jordan Clarkson, they need to re-sign him. That's the only thing I need to make sure right now. They need to re-sign him. If they need to pay him $13, $14 million, they need to do that because that man, if he starts for some games, he's a bucket getter. They need this guy because off the bench, they don't have a lot of scoring. When you look at Emmanuel Mudiay, he's an all-right scorer. Royce O'Neal can hit it's a 3-and-D kind of guard, so you're not going to rely on him for shooting. Other than that, there's not a lot of points production off the bench. Jordan Clarkson is probably like a top 3 scorer. No, top 3, top 4 scorer on the team. I believe it's Mitchell, then Bojan, then I think it's Clarkson averaging like 15 a game. So for this team, Jordan Clarkson needs to be re-signed. If they can get Emmanuel too, great player, they should re-sign him. But for me, when I think about what potential signings, I would focus on just ultimately ensuring cap for the future, because Mitchell is going to soon enough get his max contract, and players like Mike Conley are sucking up a lot of money, and you already got Bojan wrapped on a 4-year deal. If you re-sign Clarkson, that's a good amount of money. So ultimately, just making sure we can ensure cap for Mitchell in the future, and then a couple bench options could be Dario Saric, but he's on a restricted deal, so he'll probably get re-signed. Noah Vonleh for a 4. I think they need a 4 for the bench. Or Mike Muscala. Just a couple, like, they're not amazing forwards, but they're just forwards that can do their job and just, play some solid defense and get some rebounds. And lastly, I do this segment with every single team. And it's my hypothetical segment is if the season continues. And for this team, they face OKC in the first round if the season ends today. And if they came back and the season just ended and they went to the playoffs straight away, they would face OKC in the first round. I see them personally as a second round exit and maybe even a first round exit, but I think they can get it past the first round because they've got that good enough team. It's really just dependent on Gobert and Mitchell's connection and chemistry and relationship. If there's issues there, then obviously they're gonna have a hard time playing with each other. If there's arguments on the bench or just in the game, and then everybody's affected by it because you can obviously see through everyone sees it that there's some issues. And another thing is just that they're an inconsistent team. They can win games, and I know they're really good at beating good teams, but I've also seen them lose some pretty bad games this season. It just depends on if everybody can come to play, if their bench can provide that production for them, and more importantly, if Rudy Gobert and Donovan Mitchell can amend that those issues that they're having right now due to the whole COVID-19 drama. And yeah, with that being said, that will be the end of my NBA Team Futures review for the Utah Jazz. If you enjoyed the video, please make sure to give a like and comment down, like I said before, any suggestions for future videos and even future series ideas that I can bring into the channel in the future because I upload every single day. And lastly, and make sure to turn on your notification bell to make sure you can subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you can always be notified when I drop a video. And yeah, so thank you all and have a great day.